I'm weather 2020 meteorologist Gary Lezak. Whoa, what a weather pattern. September has been interesting. We are going to go over what has happened so far this month. We are going to look ahead to El Nino and a lot more. The new LRC begins in just over 2 weeks. Did you know that the sun sets at the North Pole on the first day of autumn, on the autumnal equinox? That's right, it only sets at the North Pole once. It's twilight there, and then it goes dark at the North Pole around 2 weeks later. And that's when the LRC sets up. I do not believe it's a coincidence. All right, let's take a look and show you what's going on in our report today. We'll go through it fairly quickly. I don't have a brand new weather model because the new LRC is setting up. Next year's pattern is just a little over 2 weeks away, here on September 18th. It should begin less than 3 weeks from now, on October 5th, 6th, or 7th. Can you believe it's almost October? Hurricane Nigel, look at this, over the Atlantic Ocean. That's going to curve out to sea, like a lot of them have. And another one's going to form near the East Coast in the next 5 days. It's actually related to a system from January, but there is the Intertropical Convergence Zone. Look at that, located over the southern fifth of this map. These aren't hurricanes. That's where thunderstorm compass is tracked, and it's also near where El Nino is developing. El Nino warning is in effect for next winter. An El Nino warning. El Nino is the warming of the tropical Pacific Ocean, and it does influence the weather patterns. The LRC, however, is by far the dominant feature, the biggest piece of the atmospheric puzzle. How do we know that for sure? Well, one thing we know. Last winter was a La Nina. The last 3 winters were La Ninas, the cooling of the tropical Pacific Ocean. We just went from a La Nina to an El Nino that's developing, and yet the pattern continues. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. The temperatures have been warming up. You can see this line right here. It has warmed up fast, about 1.6 degrees above average. So it's already a moderate El Nino. It's forecast to stay as a moderate El Nino during this next winter and have influences on us. Here's the forecast. Another forecast. This is what has happened in September. The first 18 days of the month, from eastern Kansas and Missouri, from around St. Joe all the way to Columbus, Ohio, it's been a struggle to get regular rains again this month. It's usually a wet month in September, but not this year with this pattern we've been in. And it's been wet out west. So look at this map on the report. The pattern is cycling. We are now in the 7th cycle of the pattern, near the end of it. Right near the end of the 7th cycle, something interesting happened, which I'm going to share with you in a second. But look at this. It ends. The LRC ends right here. It's going to go through a transition in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then a brand new pattern will set up in early October on the far left here. And then we'll go through our first cycle. Let's hope it's a good one this year, because this past year has been a struggle to get consistency in anything, really. All right, the inconsistent has been consistent. See this trough? This is the 500 millibar flow, halfway through the atmosphere, weighing 18,000 feet up. A storm came out of the Rockies and ends up in this shape on January the 12th, 2023. See that? It produced a significant severe weather outbreak, one of the biggest ones of the season. January 12th and September 23rd are directly related. Remember, this year's pattern has been roughly 49 days, 50 days, 51 days, 48 to 53 days oscillating. And this, January 12th, lines up with this weekend. So we'll see if there's severe weather. But look closely. There's feature number 1, and there it is. This is a tough map to look at. You can see all the colors. But this is for this Saturday coming up, right on cycle. The trough looks the same. And then you see this upper low and this upper system in the Gulf. There they are, here and here. They're just farther north because they're just coming out of summer into fall, whereas this was in mid-winter. Interesting. The same but different, as Gary England would say. And it is the same pattern, just a little bit different in each cycle. Los Angeles had the tornado on March the 22nd, 2023. And then Hillary formed, a major hurricane down south of Cabo San Lucas. We knew it would end up right in this spot in Southern California. Once it formed, we knew. I know it's just a few day forecast, but it tracked right over our predicted spot because of what had happened earlier. And not just 150 days ago with this, but also back in the fall last year. So this year has been roughly a 50-day cycle, and again, the last cycle is going to begin, but then the new pattern will set up. This is the model we will share with you next year, and we have some significant advances we're planning on for 2024. All right, but the model did predict the area that would most likely be affected by Hurricane Idalia, and this shows where it was going to track, and it was right. There's Idalia, a major hurricane that came into Florida, fortunately, at weekend. It went right over one of our reflections. These are previous LRC cycles, every 50 days or so. And the hurricane made landfall where we thought it would make landfall, and then went right into the spot we expected, just like the one in Southern California. And then we had Hurricane Lee. This is the forecast that we predicted Lee to go into, and Lee literally tracked right across our forecast area. Now, we did say it was going to turn towards Florida 6 months earlier, and what happened? It just got caught in the part of the pattern that caused it to swerve out to sea. Thank goodness. If it were a few days earlier or later, it may have come into Florida, so they got saved. So in conclusion, for this report, accurate predictions bring value, enhanced reliability, improved decision making, monetization opportunities. The precision of our forecast opens up avenues for monetization. And then what to expect? The new LRC is setting up this fall. We will take you through this transition, and you will then receive the planting, growing, harvest weather predictions for 2024. By December and January, you'll get your first look. We might even give you one before that. So there you go. A real quick look at this week's report. You know, in most weeks we will go over what the LRC model is predicting and go down to your county level. We'll do that again as we get closer to December, but right now the new pattern needs to set up first. Any winter forecast you hear before November 15th is based on El Nino and past years and not on the pattern that's going to set up. That's what we bring you, that expertise. Have a great day. I'm meteorologist Gary Lezak.